Silva. Present. Councilmember Lorraine Worthy.
Present.
Councilmember Maria Orozco.
Present.
And Mayor Jose Rios is excused absent.
Thank you, Mary. For all those who have cell phones, pagers, or the like, please set them to the silent mode or turn them off. Of course, this does not apply to on-duty emergency personnel. If you wish to respond to the council, you must stand and be recognized at the podium and give your name and address. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and 1 appearance per subject. And with that, we will move to, actually, item number 2, we move to the next meeting. We will go to item number 3, business from the public. Business from the public not on the agenda. Any member of the public may address the council agency for a period not to exceed 3 minutes on any subject not on the agenda. The council agency will listen to all communication, but may take no action. Business from the public.
Okay. Henry Martinez Senior, not Junior, don't confuse me with Junior. 114 10th Street or 112, whichever. I'm here to say I'm very happy that next year we're gonna go district. And it took an uneducated, undegree person to get you guys to go district voting. And hopefully in the future, we'll have someone representing District 4 who will have the mindset to how to run a city. We run the water department, we run the fire department, we run the police department, and we don't have no backup for pay stuff and saving for a fire truck. Instead of having the chief take home the car, pay for his gas to drive it home, he should drive his own vehicle to work. Save some money. Instead of having the chief go to Texas for a police convention, well, let's save that money. Let's save it for the fire truck. Do we need so many new cars? Because when I used to work for the flower shop, we had 2 new vehicles and 2 older vehicles. The 2 newer ones, we were running around with them, and we needed the backup, we used the older vehicles. We don't need 4 backup brand new vehicles. The older cars could have been used for backup when the 3rd officer had to show up, or we had to call more officers out, they could have used the older vehicles. Well, we had the newer ones out there. And retire the newer ones to the older ones and buy 2 new ones. But we have, you see all the wonderful brand new cars we have for the police department. But then we have 1 fire truck that's broken. Our guys can't do their jobs. You know, I don't know if it's the staff problem that we're not saving money. Like spending, I don't know if it's their fault, is it your guys' fault? They're not giving them what we need to be doing. But we need to start saving money so we can pay our bills. And going to meetings and stuff like that and paying out of the city budget, that needs to stop too. Especially if we're gonna audit how many times we went to Tapatosco and how many times we had to pay for those trips. And we're gonna audit the police department, how much is he spending on the police car going home? I wanna forward all that information. Have my son look at it. He's the tech guy. He knows how to do all that electronic stuff. I'm not. I'm just a grunt guy that does all the footwork. Thank you.
No.
All right, any other person for public comment on items not on the agenda?
Good evening, members of the council and staff and residents. My name is Rosa Rodriguez, 307 Ayrshire Way. I think everybody knows it by now, but probably everybody knows where I live now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyways, the reason I'm here is, I know we're gonna have Thanksgiving pretty soon and we're gonna have, the, Christmas, the holidays. And, we focused, I know the city, they're gonna provide the lights and whatnot and with the city. However, something that I would like to see, and it's not to compare one department or one city against another city, because, like, there shouldn't be any rivalry, especially over Christmas. Come on, and one thing that I would like to see is, jackets for, at least somebody bring a jacket. You're coming to the holiday lights or, to the festival, to the parade, whatever it is that we're having here in the city. Have something where we're bringing something for somebody else, one thing that I told my boys, we have been blessed. Before I worked in the corporate office, I used to work with Scott Funk out in Household Credit Services. I worked there for 10 years. I was blessed because my husband had income, I had income, and we bought our kids a lot of stuff. They participated in a lot of the recreational programs within the city. Now I'm not working because for X reasons. And I do see that, thank God I've been able to take care of my stuff, but other kids don't have basic jackets. They don't have mittens. They don't have scarves. They don't have hoodies, to stay out of the cold. These are kids at La Gloria. These are kids at Fairview. These are kids at the high school. And, and what I told my boys is, instead of getting a present for each other, why not get a present for somebody else that really needs it? And I was thinking about jackets because last year we had a really bad winter. And, one of the things that we need to do is start thinking about other people, not only ourselves. And, stop with this competition of who does what and who does better and who gets credit for it and whatnot. Because I did see the newspaper about something about Gonzalez and the youth, and it's a team effort. It's not one person. When we did the Gonzalez Health and Safety Fair, it was a team effort. I didn't take credit. Mr. Lombardi didn't take credit. Officer Amaro, rest in peace, he didn't take credit. Chief Cudio didn't take credit. It was the city didn't take credit. It was a team effort. That's what it was. And I'm sick and tired of people, trying to say, me, and trying to be the spotlight in the picture. It's a team effort. And I hope we go back to that. Thank you.
All right, I see no more in chambers. Any public comment on Zoom?
No comments.
Thank you. Any public comment via email?
No comments via email.
All right, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Any member of the public or council may pull an item from consent. Council should pull any items from consent.
I'd like to pull item number 17, I believe. Let me check, make sure. I had it here a minute ago. Yes, 17.
Okay.
I have some questions.
Okay. Any other items to be pulled?
No.
No. For the public, any items, any item on the consent agenda be pulled from the public? All right, seeing none, let's take action on items 4 through 16 and 18.
So move.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And now item 17, Councilmember Worthy, what's your questions on that?
Yes, Patrick. I think it's you that put the report together for the pool heater. Is that from you? Did I screw up?
That's
Oh, I
said
did.
17.
I'm so sorry. Wait a minute.
That's-
Yeah, it is item 14. You're right. I don't know why I circled 17. And now we've already approved it.
We've approved it, but ask your question.
Okay, my question is, it has to do with the timeline. And you were really clear on the fact that we asked, at the August 7th meeting about the heater. My concern about this is I think it's a realistic timeline, but what if there's a glitch? What if for some reason we don't have, that the heater shows up 2 months late or whatever, that I kind of feel like we're issuing a request for bids on November 28th. Why couldn't we have done that sooner, is my question.
Let's see, the action out of the August meeting was come back with a recommendation.
Mhm.
And we got a technical memorandum prepared by the pool designer to look at some different options, including could we operate it with solar powered? And I
Right.
coordinated with the pool designer and also NG.
Right.
And that was actually a fair amount of work. And regarding the schedule, there's a couple, let's see, we can, absolutely, we can compress the schedule. So for instance is where I list contract executed is when they submit a bid on January 8th, I'm going to have an executed contract. They will have signed the contract when I go to council, and I'll include that in the packet. So the timeline between January 8th and executing the contract, January 19th, is going to go away. Another comment is contractor receiving the heater 6 to 8 weeks is, we understand from the contractor that we got the quote from, it's more like 4-ish weeks.
Okay,
But I
so
wanna-
you already put in the
There's-
buffer.
There's some,
Okay,
there's cushion in here, yes.
okay, okay.
Now,
That was my question.
We absolutely understand the importance of getting the pool heater replaced.
Mhm.
It's,
And I understand,
priority.
right, and I understand, I just know that we lost half the year. And that we've been kind of talking about this, knowing that you're gonna have to come up with the hiring process. It's gonna have to go through the health department to have an inspection. All that's gonna have to be done prior to opening the pool. So I just wanted to make sure that we look at that and get the timeline
we're gonna compress.
in a good,
Yes.
way. Okay,
Right.
that's it. That's
Yeah,
all I
and,
had.
You know, this shows, you know, my conservative schedule shows heater installation complete mid-April. And I
Mhm.
absolutely understand where you're coming from.
Well,
We're
we
gonna-
found it last year, right? That things didn't come the way we wanted it
Right.
to, so.
I mean, it does include, just to say it, having PG&E come out and check the gas line again. When they checked it, no city staff was there to observe, all right, the testing of that. So that's really, really important. And we're going to be doing that in parallel with bidding this work.
Okay. All right, that was all I had. Thank you. You answered my question.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so for item 17,
Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. That's it for consent. All right, let's move to the regular agenda item tonight. So our regular item, actually, we just have one primary item before we go to discussion. Council approval of resolution number 2023-67, a resolution of the city council of the city of Gonzales establishing a new water and sewer rates for calendar years 2024 through 2028. Tonight, we have a public hearing on this, and we'll start with staff report.
Great. Good evening, council. So as Mayor Pro Tem Funk mentioned, yes, this is related to the water sewer rates, and it's the proposition, completing the Proposition 218 process, which includes holding the public hearing, receiving comments, any more protest votes, and then considering adopting this resolution. So the city's water sewer enterprises basically operate as standalone funds. So the revenue received for water supports the water operation and maintenance, and the same for the sewer. So the sewer fees that we collect pay for those two utility systems. Increasing the utility rates is needed to fund improvements to the water sewer systems. For the water system, the increased rates are going to pay for several needed pipelines. That includes constructing a second line up Johnson Canyon to connect to the 7 million gallon of water storage that we have. Right now, there is one water line going to the water tank. So it makes it difficult during the day to continue to fill the tank. The improvements to the sewer system are much more extensive. The wastewater treatment plant was constructed in its current layout in 1981. There were repairs made after 1995 floods, but after operating for more than 3 decades with limited upgrades, the plant needs to be rehabilitated, including the treatment process to meet new permit requirements by the regional board. So over these 40 years, sludge has accumulated. We need to line the ponds. We need to add more aeration. And we'll also be looking at a new treatment process because the new permit requirements by the regional board that came out in April, we cannot meet them under the current pond treatment system that we have. Our rate consultant is Lahovich and Sang, and Allison and Sophia Mills are here to support this presentation. You'll have the slide deck in your packets that Allison's going to step through. And Sophia's bilingual. She's able to provide any needed translation, including the slide deck as we step through it, and any questions from the public. The rate study process started exactly a year ago, your second meeting in November, when a contract with the rate consultant was approved after going through the request for proposal process. City staff updated the water and sewer capital improvement plans, and the rate study consultant analyzed customer usage information and financial information such as water and sewer revenue and expenses. They did a very deep dive into the billing structure that we have, the different accounts that we have, residential, commercial, industrial, and then the others, which includes the school district and Constellation Winery. Staff presented a draft rate study at the August 7th meeting, and the revised rate study was presented at the September 18th council meeting. I think the council's heard that the afternoon of those meetings, we met with the industrial dischargers and gave them an update along the way. And on Friday, I emailed this packet out to the industrial facility managers, so they're in the loop. So if the proposed rates are approved, the monthly cost for water and sewer service for the average residential customer will increase from $81.13 to $90.81, which is an additional $9.68. It's important to note that the city is planning on setting up a utility assistance program funded with $40,000 in non-rate revenue for qualifying households. So this will replace the senior rebate program. At the September 18th council meeting, council directed staff to initiate the Proposition 218 process, set the public hearing for this evening's meeting. The Proposition 218 notice that's attached to the staff report was mailed to all utility customers and property owners on September 29th. A flyer was included in the utility bill mailed to all customers in late October, and there was a post on the city social media accounts regarding this effort. So now I'm going to turn it over to Allison to step through the slide deck that's in your packet.
Okay, good evening. So I have a very brief summary presentation. It's all information we've presented before and supports the rate study. So my goal is to summarize about a 40-page report in about 10 minutes.
And Allison, as you get started there, I did want to note there's a stack of packets in the back if anyone wants to grab a copy of the presentation and to follow along as well.
So next slide, please. I think this is a bit redundant. It's this rate study timeline that Patrick went over already. So we can move along to the next slide. Very brief background. The city has not done a comprehensive rate study in many, many years, looking at all the different customer classes, water demand, flows of sewer, meter sizes, all those inputs of data has not been thoroughly analyzed in many, many years. And your prior rate increases have always been inflationary type increases. This is the first big rate structure change that the city has done. And as Patrick mentioned, water and sewer funds are enterprise funds, meaning they have to be self-supported by the rates paid by your customers. So this rate study covers a 5-year period. So it's really one package of rates with new rate changes going into effect January 1st for the next 5 years if adopted. We followed Proposition 218 legal requirements. We conducted a cost of service rate study, mailed notices to both property owners and tenants, and then made sure we had at least a 45-day waiting period. And then tonight we will tabulate protests, and if more than 50% of ratepayers submit written protests, the city cannot proceed with adopting the rates. Absent a majority protest, the city can continue considering the rates and adopt them. Next slide, please.
And Allison, real quick, I understand you're also able to have the presentation translated in Spanish as well.
Yes, my colleague Sophia Mills can.
So
assist with
as we go through that, I don't know if you want to go through a few slides and then have translated, or if you want to do side by side.
What would you prefer? Slide by slide. So do we want to pause here and then, Sophia, we're going to put you on the spot. Do you want to come up and, oops. Translate through the background, I think slide 3. Understandable. Okay, so Sophia has pre-prepared a translation of the notes, which she'll present.
Awesome, thank you.
Go back one. Okay. La ciudad lleva muchos años sin estudiar las tarifas de agua y de alcantarillado. La última vez que se estudiaron fue en 1989. Las tarifas se ajustan anualmente por el índice de precios al consumo, según la inflación. Las tarifas se ajustaron por última vez el 1 de julio de este año, cuando se incrementaron un 5%. Los fondos de agua y alcantarillado se financian con las tarifas y no hay otras fuentes de dinero. El plan de tarifas que se propone cubre a un periodo de 5 años, de este año a comenzando en el año que viene, lo siento. Los requisitos de la proposición son realizar un estudio de tarifas, enviar un aviso por correo a los clientes y celebrar una audiencia pública al menos 45 días después de enviar el aviso. Las tarifas pueden adoptarse hoy si más del 50% de los clientes no presentan protestas por escrito.
Sit here and then we'll tag team it. Okay, so next slide, please. Proposition 218 requires that we do a comprehensive analysis of the city's actual costs to deliver safe and reliable water service to customers. So we analyzed the budget and looked at your overall cost of doing business. So services and supplies to operate the water system. And then Patrick gave an overview of some of the big capital improvements driving a lot of the cost increase. So we have a number of pipeline replacements, connection to a new tank, and these improvements will provide better fire flow, fire protection to the city's residents. There's also some allocated costs for vehicle replacements and repairs. And then to fund these, because they are long-lived assets, we included some new debt issuances because these items will last 30 years. So like a 30-year or even a 20-year debt to pay those off over time helps mitigate some rate impacts in the first few years. So we've proposed debt financing these items, which will have some new debt service, which will be paid off annually with the rate adjustments. Okay.
Ahora voy a resumir el análisis de los costos del sistema de aguas. Se prevé que el costo del servicio aumente debido a la inflación y también a los proyectos capitales. Se propone que los proyectos principales de los próximos 3 años, incluidos 6 millones para reemplazos de tuberías y 1 millón para un tanque nuevo, financien con deuda, lo que resultará en nuevos pagos de $450,000 anuales. Hay otros proyectos misceláneos adicionales, como la sustitución de vehículos, hasta $250,000.
So next slide, please. This next slide is just an overview of your rates. You charge a base meter fee, even if somebody uses zero water, to recover some fixed costs. So you have different customer classes and then different fees based on meter size. So we propose to continue this type of rate structure, just making adjustments to what each customer would pay.
Ok. La tabla aquí muestra las tarifas actuales fijas. La factura es mensual y aquí incluye una tarifa basada en el tamaño del medidor.
So next slide, please. So this next slide shows the volume rate. So in addition to the fixed charges, each customer pays a fee based on the amount of water they use. It's billed on 100 cubic foot basis. That's 748 gallons per unit of water. You have a tiered rate structure for most customers, so higher levels of use are charged a higher rate. And kind of looking at the data and as well as looking at recent court cases and legal requirements, we didn't feel that this rate structure was appropriate for the way you operate your water system and your customer base and how they're using water. So we are proposing to eliminate the tiers and charge everybody the same unit cost per 100 cubic feet.
La tabla muestra las tarifas actuales por volumen. La factura mensual incluye estas tarifas por volumen que se multiplican por la cantidad de agua utilizada. Varía según la cantidad de agua usada y se mide en unidades de 100 pies cúbicos. Una unidad equivale a 748 galones de agua. Los clientes residenciales también tienen diferentes niveles de tarifas por volumen, pero se propone que todos los clientes solo tienen un nivel de consumo en las tarifas propuestas.
So the next slide shows the proposed water meter fees, with each new fee going into effect January 1st over the next 5 years. And we are proposing to have more of a scale from the small meter fee to the large meter fee. The larger meter fees are now proposed to be charged quite a bit more, but that is in line with industry standard practice. It seems like a big increase, but in prior presentations, we even gave an overview of what other cities are charging for those larger meters, and your large customers are getting a break right now on those big meter fees. So this first rate adjustment is a reconfiguring of the cost structure, and then each year after that, it's a proposed 7% increase to the meter fee section of the rate.
Esta tabla muestra las tarifas fijas propuestas. Se basan en el tamaño del medidor. Después del primer año se propone que las tarifas fijas aumenten un 7% anual. La capacidad de cada tamaño de medidor se utilizará para determinar la tarifa. Los medidores más grandes tienen tarifas más altas.
And the next slide shows the proposed volume rate. So that's charged per 100 cubic foot of water use. And as we explained, we're proposing to now charge all customers at all levels of use a single rate. And then on the bottom portion of the charge, the rate schedule here is proposed drought rates, which would only be implemented in a water shortage emergency. So we hope the city never has to implement those, but they are in your toolkit to make sure that the water utility is always covering its costs, even when water sales decline.
Las tarifas por volumen propuestas figuran en esta tabla. Se propone que todos los niveles o todos los tipos de clientes paguen la misma tarifa por volumen y la tarifa se multiplicará por la cantidad de agua usada cada mes. También hay unas tarifas por volumen que solo se implementarían durante un periodo de sequía o una emergencia.
So the next chart is a typical bill survey. So looking at what the average single family residential customer uses, what their typical bill would be under the current rates as well as the proposed rates. So the current typical bill is about $50. And then the proposed rates would result in about a $52 bill impact. And then this chart also compares the city of Gonzales's typical bill with other local agencies. And Gonzales is on kind of the middle or lower end of the range of surveyed agencies.
Ok. Para un cliente típico que usa 12 unidades por mes, el costo mensual de agua aumentaría de $49 a $52 por mes. Y en comparación con otras agencias locales, puedes ver el costo en otras ciudades.
So now we'll switch over to sewer. So Patrick gave us a very good overview of the challenges facing the sewer utility, meeting your permitting requirements, and the need to upgrade and expand the sewer system for better service to both existing customers and new growth, both in housing and industry. We are pursuing a discounted state loan. So this is less than the market rate of interest. It's a huge benefit to the city to qualify for that low interest subsidized loan that will be used to construct these upgrades. And then the real challenge is making sure we can pay back that loan that will result in new debt service cost of $1.25 million. So the rates are proposed to gradually increase to cover that debt. If you take on the debt, you're legally required to pay it back. So we have to demonstrate that we have a rate plan and a revenue plan to support that. And then a portion of the improvements will support the collection system rehab as well.
So, el sistema de alcantarillado tiene muchos proyectos importantes de capital pendientes en los próximos años. La planta municipal de tratamiento tiene dificultades para cumplir con las normas y es necesario ampliar el sistema para ofrecer mejor servicio y también cumplir con las normas. Se utilizará un préstamo del SRF. No sé, lo siento, mi español no es perfecto, pero estoy tratando. Para construir una nueva planta industrial de tratamiento de aguas residuales, va a costar, la ciudad va a tener unos pagos del servicio a la deuda de más de $1 millón anuales. Van a comenzar en 3 años. La empresa de alcantarillado también financiará otros proyectos y mejoras en la planta municipal de tratamiento de aguas residuales en los próximos años.
Okay. This next chart shows your current rate structure. Residential customers pay a fixed charge. Commercial and industrial customers pay a fixed charge plus a volume rate for the amount of flow that they discharge into the sewer system. And then schools pay a fixed charge per student. And we are proposing, that some of these dollar values be adjusted, but overall the structure is proposed to remain the same with a fixed charge for residential and then a fixed plus volume for commercial and industrial.
Esta tabla muestra las tarifas actuales por mes. Hay un cargo mensual que se fija en función del tipo de cliente, residencial, comercial o industrial. Las tarifas propuestas se van a cobrar en la misma estructura, pero la cantidad de la tarifa por mes va a cambiar.
Okay. The next chart shows the proposed sewer rates over the next 5 years. So the first year, like I said, is this restructuring of the rates. And then the remaining years are a percent increase to all customers equally to keep up with the cost of service in our financial plan. So most customers are proposed, or sorry, residential customers are proposed to receive an increase to their fixed charge. Commercial and industrial are proposed to receive a decrease to the fixed charge, so that the new fixed charge reflects only a customer service cost of the city. But if you look to the bottom of the chart, they're getting more of an increase on their volume rate. So it's more fair because it's more focused on, they pay for what they use in the sewer system. And Proposition 218 requires that we establish proportionality that's more fair to how customers are taking service or benefiting from service. So that was our overall rate plan.
Las tarifas propuestas para cada uno de los próximos 5 años están en la tabla aquí. La tarifa fija para los clientes comerciales y industriales va a bajar y solo va a tener, y estos clientes solo van a tener una tarifa por el servicio al cliente. Pero estos clientes comerciales e industriales van a tener una tarifa por volumen más alta que la tarifa actual. Así que sus facturas mensuales van a ser más basadas en el uso actual del sistema. Los clientes residenciales solo van a tener una tarifa fija cada mes.
The next chart is a bill survey comparing the City of Gonzalez's current sewer bill under current rates and the proposed rates. The city's bill is very low compared to other local agencies, and even with the rate increase, doesn't move in the ranking compared to others.
Eso es una comparación de la factura mensual para una casa residencial en González y en otras ciudades locales. En comparación con otras agencias, las tarifas de González son relativamente bajas, aún con el aumento propuesto.
So the next chart just compares the proposed adjustments to the water meter fee, usage charges, and sewer charges. As Patrick summarized, the typical bill currently for an average customer is about $81, and it's proposed to increase to about $91. So an increase of about $10, but the majority of it is on the sewer side.
Aquí puedes ver el aumento propuesto para una cliente típico. A la derecha puedes ver el aumento en cada una de las tarifas propuestas. Hay la tarifa fija para el agua, la tarifa por volumen para el agua, y también el aumento más grande propuesto es para las aguas residuales.
So the final slide tonight is just an overview of the procedures. So we will open the public hearing, listen to public comments. The public is invited to submit any final written protests for the final tally. City Council will then close the public hearing. We will provide the final tally of written protests. If 993 protests are received, that is the majority protest threshold. The city cannot pursue the rate adjustment. Absent that many ballot or submitted protests, the city can continue forward with considering the rate adjustment. And if adopted, the first rate adjustment would go into effect January 1st.
Después de nuestra presentación, vamos a escuchar los comentarios del público y después vamos a contestar las protestas. Si hay menos de 993 protestas, el Consejo puede considerar la adopción de las tarifas.
Great. Oh,
Thank you.
thanks, Allison. Thanks, Sophia. So the one final last comment is, as of 5 o'clock tonight, we'd received approximately, is it 275 protests? How many? Do we have a number?
So I received a packet that had 274, and then there's one in the packet for 275. And I looked at those really quickly and took out 6 of those. We have 5 that were not signed, and then we have one that's a duplicate. So it looked like maybe a husband and wife both signed a petition. So kick out 2, we have 269 as we enter into the public hearing.
Great. So that concludes our presentation. We're ready for questions.
Thank you. And before we open public comment, so first of the council, any questions for staff before we open? Council,
So I just have Mike, that's a signature, one signature per parcel, per address, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you.
And we didn't have, the opportunity to go through those in fine detail. I mainly was just checking to make sure that we had signed, and then one caught my eye because it was the same
Okay.
address, so.
Thank you.
any questions for staff before we proceed? Councilor Civil?
I have a quick question with regards to page 6. The 1 unit equals 100 cubic feet or 748 gallons. So, at the top of that chart, it says 0 to 25 CCF for the cubic feet is $2.27. Is this considered 1 unit, the 187 gallons, or is it 748 gallons? I guess I want clarification. What does 1
Sure.
unit mean?
So 1 unit is 100 cubic feet,
How many gallons?
748. So where we see the, 0 to 25 CCF, so that's 2,500 gallons. I mean, do the math.
25 and 700.
It's what? 748?
25.
25 times 748?
Yes.
Okay,
18,700.
that's what, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. It wasn't registering in my head. Thank you. On the bottom of one of the other slides, it had water cutbacks, 10%, 25%, and 40%. And what is that in relationship to?
Should there be an emergency, a drought emergency, and the council has to basically conserve water. It's built into the rates already, the fees regarding a 10%, 25%, 40% cutback. So
So those would be additional charges
they're
if we
not,
went into that?
so they're not additional. They would replace the unit costs up above.
So instead of being 241, it would go up to 261 if
Exactly.
we were to get to the 10% level of
Precisely.
cutbacks. Gotcha.
Precisely.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilor Worthy.
The meter sizes, the average meter size for residential in our community is 5/8.
It's 5/8. All new meters will be one inch,
Okay,
but they're charged the same.
okay, which is, I just want to make sure that public understands that's where the smallest increases are. So, okay, that was just for clarification. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, thank you. And with that, we'll open the public hearing. A member of the public may address the council for up to 3 minutes.
There's more letters. All right, Gerardo Villegas, 230 Clausen Circle. Good afternoon, council members. Brief history. 2022 Measure X passed to increase taxes. So it was set to construct a community center, right? 22 comes around in a special election in the ballot for Measure P to increase taxes to fund the community center. What happened to Measure X? The measure that was said to construct a community center by local companies, not a company that only has a office here and does nothing for the community. Sounds to me like a kickback. I wish the mayor was here because I would have been staring him in the eyes. Luckily that special tax failed. Now 2023, 2024 comes around and an increase to the sewer and water is proposed. 40,000 are said to set aside to assist low-income households. If 900 households qualify, which I guarantee more will, that means each household will receive $3.70 a month, $44.44 a year. This is pathetic, heartbreaking, and embarrassing, knowing that the food that sits at your table is harvested by the majority of the residents, since the majority are in the agriculture industry. Now the city is attempting to generate 2 million in funds by 2027, 2028. Are you guys trying to transfer these funds from the sewer and water to fund the community center that should have been funded by Measure X? Sounds really deceiving. Last I checked, you are not contributing from this general fund over to the sewer and water. In reality, you are transferring from those accounts over to the general account. These services are not deficit spending and are self-sufficient, generating revenue. Are you trying to fund the H2A building, or is this because of the new coolers being built that created water and sewer concerns? Shouldn't those companies pay for the overhead costs that will cause the demand for water and sewer? Why should we pay for the companies if they want to build in our backyards? I definitely am not in their payroll. I came to express my concern and frustration that you are not transparent and let you know that these rates are outrageous. Really, 52% in sewer, 28% in water. One thing for sure, I know, Mayor Rios, unfortunately, you're not here, but don't get comfortable in that mayor's seat, because I will make it my mission that you never step foot in the city hall as a mayor again. Another thing, you said it's $8, $9 next year, but why didn't you guys show the 27, 28 rates? We're gonna be looking at more of the $62 increase. So it's $4, it's chump change. What are you gonna do? Tell the residents, oh, here's $4, but I'm gonna increase your bill $56. Be more transparent, guys.
Henry Martinez again, 112 10th Street. Like I said earlier, the guy under the camera, Garrity, who made me, he had black hair when he was first started here, the lawyer. Okay? The issue that got me involved in the thing was water bill. Umpteen years ago, when he had black hair. Half the water we use in the houses does not go to the sewer. It waters plants, grass. I don't use to water plants in my yard because I refuse to use water so I can pay the sewer, so we don't waste water outside. And then to charge us for the big companies that actually use the sewer is ridiculous. You had since that mayor to save money for this outcome. All these years, how many is that? 40 years, 30 years? I don't know, I can't do the math right now. Had all this time, all these increases to be saving money for rainy day. But you'd rather buy a drone. So we can't trust the cops using. Buy them new cars. Okay? You do ridiculous projects around town. We had a perfectly good water fountain that all they needed to repair. And you guys put a pipe looking thing. When we had one built 60 years ago, 80 years ago, you guys tore that down. We're tired of paying for your guys' mistake. You guys should have been saving. Those new homes coming in better have a $5,000 added cost to their homes to pay for this. You know, we built this town. My dad got here in 1959 in Gonzales, and we paid our share of this side of town to improve town. We paid to improve the city, capacity. It's not our fault. You guys made the capacity. You're charging us again for more capacity, which should have been saved and fixed. Should never have been so many years before you even looked at it. And then to let these people know the story was in the Weekly, which is not even the Gonzales Tribune. You'll notice what's in the back of the bills. Who looks at the back of the bills? You didn't even put it in the station, Spanish news papers. People read the El Sol. You should have put it in there. You should have let more people know that what's going on. And then she's saying people got the notices. Tenants don't get notices that the water bill is going to go up.
Any other member of the public?
Rosa Rodriguez, 307 Ayrshire Way. This is a very touchy subject because I'm broke. After working for 10 years at Household Credit Services, I developed an injury. I can't work. I've been exercising in order to get better since I haven't been able to work. But I had to ask for assistance, to pay my water bill. I had to ask for assistance to pay my PG&E bill. I had to I have to go to the pantry. I have to go wait in line. I used to have, my high heels and my corporate outfits, and I can't use them no more. I'm with everybody else at the pantry. Well, my point is, even though I'm broke, even though I'm asking for help, even though maintenance should be done on a yearly basis, like I mentioned to a lot of people, we wait until things are falling apart or new buildings or new projects are coming through. And like Mr. Martinez said, I could hear the passion in his voice and I could see the frustration in his voice. And I know that we have kids here, so we had to modify, the way we address everybody else is, yes, we have to make improvements to our infrastructure, our water. And like I was explaining to the lady, our jobs, we get the pay raise goes up to meet with inflation. And so it makes sense that the water bill go up. However, not 20% for the sewer. I could understand, I think it was the 7%, but not the 20% for the sewer. And I'm sorry? Oh, 52. But what I'm trying to get at is, yes, if new developments are coming in, I would say they should be paying for the sewer, and if and not pass it to the residents. As far as that we need the pipes, because my home is on California Breeze. I have sprinkler system, so I have the regular meter plus I get an extra for the sprinkler system, and then I like the tier usage because I didn't know that there was a major water leak at my home. And guess what? I have a beautiful fig tree, but then I knew that there was a huge water leak and that was fixed. And we're going to get to a point where we're not going to have enough water. And who knows, if we're going to have droughts or not. We can't depend on Mother Nature to be, saving us all the time. And I think a tiered is a lot smarter, it's wiser because it bills us according to our usage. Kind of like when we go shopping and we have a budget, and I don't like when people start accusing departments of borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. I took accounting classes. I know every department has their budget. If we would come to council meetings, we would know everybody has a budget and we have to maintain our infrastructure, but at a fair price. Thank you.
Any other member of the public? No.
Jose Chavez, 418 Rincon Circle. I'll keep my comments super short and sweet. I just have a couple questions. I just want to get educated. What was the last study conducted in 1989? Is that the protocol of being like 25 plus years? Secondly, I know y'all painting the sweet picture that we're still in the lower end compared to other cities, but why is that? Is it bad management, bad decision making by our leaders, you guys? I just think a lot of you guys are real comfortable in those seats, but change is coming. Thirdly, what happens after that 5-year plan? Are we coming back here again to discuss the next 5 years after that? Thank you.
Any other member of the public? Any comment on Zoom?
No comments.
Thank you. Any comments on, via email?
No comments via email.
All right, so one last call in the chambers. Any other public comment in chambers? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll bring it back to council for further discussion. And actually,
Through the chair, I'll just indicate that we received an additional 20 protests. 2 of those are unsigned, and so they were taken out, and one is a duplicate of a protest that we already have. So we had an additional 17, so we have a total of 286 protests.
okay. Thank you, Michael. And I guess before we go to the council discussion, Carmen, I don't know if it makes sense appropriate if we maybe to address a couple of the items for clarification. I think there was some, maybe a little bit of misinformation. Do you want me to address some of that, or if there's any, if you have?
If you want to start with the question?
Yeah.
We do have the experts, the technical expertise here, and obviously our public works director. So yes, we would love to address the
Sure.
questions that were.
So yeah, so if I could, I'll address a couple of the items I think that came up that just for clarification. So one, I completely agree. I like the tier, but that's no longer an option for us from the state. The state took that away from us. That's not something we have a choice on. Because when this came up a couple of months ago, that was something myself I was pushing back on and preferred the tier. Because I agree. You use it, use more, you should pay more. I agree. I mean, I have 2 sons who love long showers, and and it's not fair to my neighbors if they're not doing that, right? But at the same time, if my lawn's brown and my neighbor, next door neighbor is going crazy, with irrigation and so forth, it would make sense that they should pay more than me. But the state no longer allows that. That's something that was briefly touched on in the presentation. We did talk about this at length a couple meetings back, a couple months ago. And so unfortunately, so to put that out there, we agree tiering is probably the best way to go. It's not an option for us, unfortunately. It does have to be a flat rate based on recent legal precedents.
Can I also ask Estella if you can put up the proposed sewer rates slide back up? I think there was questions around that as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
I wanna
definitely.
just point to it. Okay. I think that was one of the questions. As to the percentage.
All right, right.
That's where 52% came from, 2026 and 6.
For the base year, right? The things we're referring to, yeah, for the base year. Yeah, so that being, yeah, right, for clarification on the rate tiering, right? Sorry, I had one more note down.
There was a question regarding the percentage that increases over time, and so wanted to clarify it. It's 20% for sewer, not 50 plus.
He's adding through
Yeah.
2028.
Right. And as far as the going forward, as far as the, future years, it is based on the number of users we have in the system. So going back to talking about new development, yes, if we have new development, we have additional, whether it's commercial, industrial, new housing projects, et cetera, they all come into the mix, and that spreads out the, especially as far as the projects, right? That spreads out the cost. So, obviously we're, from a council perspective, we've been chasing housing projects for several years. And, if we had a large project come in, even a small project come in, that would spread out the cost. So that is something we're obviously looking at as an opportunity, right? So in order, I think, to assist with that line of question, but.
The other thing we should mention is that
believe it's year 3 or 4 that we are proposing another look at the rates.
Mhm.
So we would look at it and potentially decrease some of the rates if need be.
So Mayor Pro Tem, I want to add with new development with residential, commercial or industrial, in addition to paying the rates, they pay the impact fee for the connection. And for new homes, it's round number, it's $10,000 a
Mhm.
roof for single family residential. So they're buying into the system.
Right.
And then they are paying the rates.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, and so the points of paying down the large debt service, et cetera, that's out there, right, that we're looking at to pay for these large projects, that would definitely assist. I think it's what I had for clarification. I'll pass it to council. Any other further discussion?
You know, I know it's a challenge for us as cities when we're mandated by the state and other agencies to make these changes. And many times the challenge is that, you know, they don't provide us with a whole lot of assistance. I know the cities and other, you know, governmental agencies, again, are going through the same process where they have to comply. And I know that you have been mentioning, and we've been hearing this, that the sewer treatment plant is pretty much to capacity now. Is that correct, Patrick? And
Yes.
so these are things that, you know, if we really want to build those new housing projects and those new commercial buildings, that we need to expand and improve our sewer treatment plants. So it is a challenge that
Mhm.
all cities are facing.
And actually, as Maurice said, that it did remind me, I think it was one of the early comments was around the H2A project. This has nothing to do with the H2A project, nor is it paving the way for that. So
Measure P and Measure X have nothing to do with this. That was a sales tax. That's what those two measures were about. They have nothing to do with any of this. So bigger. That's all.
Kevin?
Mayor Pro Tem, I would also just like to comment that a very strong component built into the general plan and development processes are that when we have a new proposal, such as the specific plan areas that are providing, you know, new city landscapes, is that they have to balance all of their, they have to be revenue neutral.
Mhm.
So that the existing residents, the existing tax base is not affected by the new stuff. They have to pay their own way. And so we've used those terms with connection fees and impact fees and things like that. And they have to be independent in that financial, you know, but these are major systems that will serve all. But, you know, so when we have a brand new development like that, it is by design, we have to work through all the costs, additional police and connections and pipes, so that it becomes revenue neutral to the existing residential tax base.
Thank you. So further discussion from the council? If not, we'll look for action or recommended action.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-67 as presented.
Did you second?
I don't really want to, but I
Oh,
will.
well.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you for your time. All right. Item number 20, Gonzalo Youth Council. Youth Council update.
Good
Good evening, council members and staff. Our updates from GUIC is the meeting that we had last week. Who involved Chief Mucio, our principal and our vice principal, and Miss Maria from Sun Street Centers. We were discussing the drug and alcohol prevention action project that we were going through. And with that, we have some ideas that we learned from nozzle sprays, the use of alcohol and drug use within the high school, as well as some ideas that we will be moving forward with the action projects. And then our next update is Miss Cecilia's report that she gave with Monterey County Weekly. That report gave us on a few of our action projects within the GIC. So that was a very successful article that she published. It was a great article talking about the action projects that we had within the past and the success that we've had within those projects. Our next update is the manuscript that me and Valeria are one of our ambassadors, who is currently working with Dr. Laval, psychologist professor at CSUMB, along with her assistants, Miss Kimmy and Rosa. Within this project, we'll be talking about In the Minds of Judy Jess that we did a presentation last year at our library at the high school, as well as getting a little bit more info of the All-American Charity Award that me and Luke were involved in. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. And when's your next meeting with the youth council?
Our next meeting will be this upcoming December 7th.
Okay.
We will be discussing along with holiday parade lights. And yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. That will move to the city council board and committee reports. We believe California cities, and I don't have an update, and the mayor is hitting. We'll push that one to the next meeting. Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. The only thing to update on that one is we continue to move forward with the state's regional growth forecast. The region has been allocated a specific amount to grow over the course of the next 20 years, and that will come down to the city level in early 2024. So staff and we'll start seeing that more so in the spring. And then Monterey Salinas Transit.
I'm not going to report on anything this evening because we had a great presentation last time, and I do want to ask staff if you wouldn't mind. I think we need to go back to listing all the reports every month because I think we're off on the scheduling. So I think it might be better for us to just say, I don't have a report this month. Right, because I feel like, yeah, because I feel like we're kind of off all the time, like somebody has a meeting coming up or whatever. I think maybe it might work out better that way. Yeah, because we had a great presentation last month. The only thing I will say is that the Youth Guardians has applied for one of the buses that they are releasing through MST. So that is something that I can report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, we'll move to oral communication from the council, and actually we'll say with Ms. Worthy.
The only thing that I would like to say is tomorrow at 8:30 at St. Theodore's Church, there will be a food distribution for Thanksgiving. So anyone who needs to come by, please do so. This is something that just came up, I guess, over the weekend. So they will be distributing tomorrow at 8:30 is when we're going to start, and then 9 o'clock is when they will actually start distributing. So just so everyone knows, and I hope everyone has a blessed Thanksgiving.
Lorraine, is this through the food bank or is this through, okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Silva.
I have nothing except that tonight, if we could consider adjourning our meeting in memory of Evelyn Bernard and Josephine Petavilla, who are both very active community members and lifelong residents of Gonzales, and they both passed away within the last month or so. And like Ms. Worthy said, happy and safe Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. And we definitely will adjourn in a few months on that. Councilmember Roscoe.
Yes, thank you. Also, would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And also would like to mention that there are a couple of activities coming up in December. We have the tree lighting ceremony, and also La Gloria's having their annual Christmas gift bazaar that same day, I believe. So it'll be a busy day. And I just want to, I would just like to say that, I also did receive a number of phone calls and visits regarding, the rates, and people were just misinformed. And I think we need to really do some outreach in the near future when we have things of this nature that come up, to do a better job in maybe just hosting a community meeting where it's not as, where folks are not limited to just the 3 minutes to speak, but where we can really, answer their questions, because there was just a lot of misinformation and people were just confused about what was being proposed. So just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Roscoe. Yeah, and with that as well, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and to all yourselves and your families. And then I know, yeah, again, you think you mentioned all the community events coming up, so we'll definitely look forward to that. And I do want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. And likewise, did talk to a number of residents, prior to coming in over the last few weeks. But definitely thank everyone for your time and your efforts and your comments. Definitely, as we look to balance our own personal budgets, it's definitely, home budgets that is. And we're always looking at, every few dollars. And so it does, definitely does matter. And with that, we'll move to our city manager for communication.
Yeah, brief comments. So I do just want to remind the council that Monday, on Monday, the 27th, there's a very important LAFCO meeting, 2 to 5 o'clock. It can potentially have impact on any future development here within our boundaries or right outside our boundaries. So just want to put that on your radar. If anybody else is interested, can find out more on the LAFCO website or reach out and I can give you more information as to how it can impact us. I do want to celebrate the GYC, making the cover of the weekly, which is pretty amazing. I know I shared that article with everybody, so just if you haven't checked it out, please do so. Great spread on the work they're doing. Holiday Lights is set for December 2nd from 4 to 7 o'clock on downtown. Hopefully we get good weather for that, but we will have a plan, rain or shine. And then the parade is on the 9th, starting at 6 o'clock. I'm sure lineup will start at 5 o'clock and really important. Organizers have requested that everybody who wants to participate in the parade pre-registers. There will be no on-site registration. So I know people like to join in last minute. We will not be able to accommodate that. So just make sure you pre-register if you want to participate. And just happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And thank you for working through us through this process. And sometimes we have to do what's right in the long run. So thank you.
Just wanted to let the council know that we're progressing on the city's 6-cycle housing element, and we are pretty near. I'm looking through kind of a admin draft right now, and we hope to have a public release here in the next 3 or 4 weeks, just in time for your holiday reading for a public release of the housing element. Thank you.
The only update I've got is we have a new public works maintenance worker starting tomorrow from Nunez, and he's a Gonzales High grad and lives here in Gonzales. I will bring him to an upcoming council meeting to introduce our new teammate to the council and public. That's it.
Chief.
Just real quick to take some of the fun out of the holidays for everyone. Make sure you fry your turkeys outside, not inside, please. We do occasionally, last year we didn't get one, but we do occasionally get those types of incidents. Also, Thanksgiving Day is one of the highest days of the year for choking hazards. So make sure you remember what mom taught you and don't talk with your mouth full. And I know that right after Thanksgiving, a lot of us, myself included, will be moving right into Christmas decorating. If you are going to get a live tree, make sure you start watering it early. Preferably go get a synthetic tree. But if you are going to get a live tree, water it early and often and make sure it lasts for Christmas. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, it was also chew your food good before you swallow. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. The police department, anyone that hasn't had a chance yet to see our video we put out on actually Officer Perez in correlation with the high school students, the class over there. The nice little safety video, how to cross properly sidewalks, crosswalks, et cetera. So it's on the PD Facebook page. It's been shared probably 40 times by now. So if you haven't seen it, just get on there, take a look at it. Kudos to Officer Perez for putting that together and the Gonzales High School. Thanks. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Can you do one on electric scooters? Oh, gosh. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, with that,
Zoom all over the place.
we'll adjourn.